Ipswich Town are genuinely in a serious title race. And who would have thought it just 2 years ago when Kieran McKenna took over a struggling League One side? Well, believe it or not, the Tractor Boys are well and truly battling for promotion, and not just promotion. They could be on for a record-breaking title-winning season. But the question that we all want answering: how have they got to this position? From an 11th place finish back in the 21-22 season to now sitting on 51 points in just 21 league games in the championship. Well, we need to look at the individuals that have stepped up from last season to make the championship their own this year. First up, it can be no one else than the skipper himself, Sam Morsy. His heat map from this season tells you everything you need to know. Morsy is so well rounded, and that is so very key to McKenna's system. When building up in possession, Ipswich tend to progress using a 3-2 setup in the first phase, with Morsy as the anchor of the midfield, meaning he's involved in pretty much everything, as shown by the fact he sits in the top 4% for most touches in the championship and in the top 6% of midfielders in Europe's other 14 leagues for passes attempted per game. However, alongside this massive presence in the first phase, Morsy is so vital in almost every department of the Town setup. Whether it be his defensive numbers, which are very, very hard to rival, with 36 tackles completed successfully this season, more than any other holding midfielder in the championship according to FotMob. Yet he's not just about the defensive work rate or building up play, he also does contribute somewhat in the final third, with 4 goal contributions so far. Moving on, and I can't go any further than Ipswich's number 10. Connor Chaplin is a sensational football player. This season, Chaplin is averaging 1.6 goal contributions per game with his 8 goals and 5 assists in 21 league matches. But that's only the beginning of Chaplin's brilliance. Now, don't get me wrong, he's phenomenal in the final third, and that's what everyone loves. I mean, it's what football's about, innit? Putting the ball in the back of the net. So you may hate me when I say this, but the best part of Chaplin's game is his amazing pressing. Chaplin, Chappers, Chapo.
What are they talking about?
I'm gonna stop now. Ipswich Town star man sits in some of the highest percentiles for pressing numbers from number 10s in the championship this season. 32 blocks, which is the most of any player in his position, 13 interceptions, 85 recoveries, and 15 possessions won in the final third. Without Chaplin, the incredible McKenna press, which is statistically the 4th best in the league, simply can't happen. So now you're probably starting to get tired of me hyping up these different Ipswich players. Heck, I mean, Ipswich Town fans are probably starting to get annoyed. But I'm sorry to say it's not over, because my favourite of them is still yet to come. Left back, Leif Davis. Last season, Davis was incredible, and I really, really mean incredible. He literally dominated practically every single game that he played. I mean, just look at this heat map. He seemed to make that whole left-hand side his own, and that's continued this season. From left back, Davis has managed to rack up a whopping 9 assists, which is the most of any player in the championship this season. And as much as it's a massive credit to the player himself for, being able to perform at such a high level, I also think it's a massive, massive show of how good McKenna is as a coach. Earlier, I briefly mentioned that Ipswich do build up in a 3-2 with the 2 midfielders just in front of what becomes a back 3. But I didn't tell you why they do it, and I'm going to now. Look at the position that Leif Davis is in here. He's the width on this left flank, and therefore allows for whichever left winger that is chosen to come inside into the half space. And that's something that all of McKenna's left-sided wide men want to do. Just looking at Nathan Broadhead's heat map, and you see he consistently pops up in these more central areas, not only in order to put Davis into good crossing positions, but also to strike the ball, which we know he can do very well. And the 3-2 build-up is important for this, as it allows Davis to push forward. Ipswich don't just sit back with a flat back 4. I mean, not many sides do anymore, but he's pretty much a left winger at this point. Finally though, I'm done with my little hype job for Ipswich players. We can actually look as Ipswich Town as a whole, as the unit that it really is. This season, no team has scored more goals per game, registered more shots on target, or produced a higher XG at 36.4 than the Tractor Boys in the championship. Just to remind you all, They finished second in League One last season. However, I know it is so easy just to look at stats and take them for face value, which is why I think it's so important to kind of combat these statistical percentiles and put them alongside the eye test, which Kieran McKenna's Ipswich passed with flying colours. I generally think that this side has one of the most unique footballing styles in the whole of England. You see so many prominent counter-attacking sides throughout the whole of the 92. You see so many possession-based sides throughout the whole of the 92. But McKenna is in a tactical realm of his own. In the first phase, the Ipswich defence often attempts to bait the press in order to almost create themselves counter-attacking scenarios. They isolate the pressing front line and even the midfield majority of the time from the defence so very well, and as a back line of maybe 4, even 5 players sometimes, there's really not much you can do. Away from the actual pitch though, and more delving into the dressing room and the atmosphere around the club, Kieran McKenna has this sort of mentality instilled in his players. Losing just isn't in the Blues' DNA. In fact, Ipswich have now recorded 4 league wins after going behind and 6 in all competitions. Now, I'm not saying it's good to concede early doors or concede at all, but the fact that this team seems to always just find a way to get something from the games shows you all the hard work and is a massive credit to the club and how it's developed over the past 2 seasons. So, is there anything really negative to talk about in terms of Ipswich? Well, I have one minor problem. Ipswich have the 9th highest XG conceded against them, and as much as they do have 7 clean sheets this season, I do think that sometimes the defending can be a little bit suspect. But with the way McKenna looks to play, it is very, very high risk, but with that very high reward. My only worry is that if this side does step into the Premier League, teams will take advantage of the chances they're gifted a lot more often, and will deal with the comeback potential a lot better than any side Ipswich have faced so far. However, they're not Premier League, so I guess it doesn't really matter if they manage to continue how well they've done this season. All in all then, this Ipswich Town side is an absolute joy to watch, and Kieran McKenna is a top young manager that is seriously building something very, very special with Ipswich Town. As I said at the start of the video, they're well within their rights to claim to be in a title race. However, it is the derby this weekend, and things can go either way. As much as it probably will be an Ipswich 3-0, derby days are completely different. But anyways, if you have enjoyed today's video, please do leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.